and welcome back to yet another episode of the Gameable Audio. I am your host, Christofer Schenström, and this is episode 67. And this is yet another special, as we are guested here today by none other than Toby from ChrisX Productions. Hello and welcome.
Hey Chris, it's good to be here.
It is very nice to have you here. It's been such a long going back and forth between emails here, because if I remember correctly, it's like almost 2 years ago we met.
It
feels like it.
It is 1 year ago, but
is it
almost
1 year ago?
To the day. Last year at Nordic Game, right?
Then it was last year at Nordic Game. I was a little bit unsure, but it felt like longer, to be honest.
It felt like I've known you my whole life.
Myself. But it was a blast to be visiting Nordic Game Conference down in Malmö, where you were showcasing your game that we are going to talk about today, the Heavy Metal Death Can. And of course, we're going to go deep diving into what that game is. So this is just like a small teaser that I've already been testing this. Of course, I've already been testing this by playing the demo as well. So people that have been joining me over on my stream, as I did the research for this episode to talk a little bit more about the implementation, about the music and everything inside the game, then they're already aware.
Oh, you streamed it? That's awesome.
Yes, I streamed the demo and just played through everything to talk a little bit about the game and see what people kind of liked about the game, and of course, made them eager to try the game themselves.
Love it. That's awesome.
Yeah. But let's actually start a little bit from the beginning, which is not where we met. I want to hear a little bit about your background, Toby. Like, what got you into this godforsaken place called game development and music?
Yeah, so in many ways, I have been tinkering with game development since I was a kid. Got into Game Maker as like a tween or something like that. Before we had proper internet at home, I had like an offline PC in my room that me and my friends would do, I guess, sort of game jams, I guess, like making small silly game projects. And then took a break for a few years, discovered like music and, you know, the guitar, and started playing in bands and stuff, and then sort of got back to it. Like every other year I would open up Game Maker again and try to make something that was slightly more ambitious than the last time. So these sort of like passions of mine always, they're kind of where my focus was, and I was bouncing between them. So when given the opportunity to like actually make music for a game, like with that can, our own game, I was so excited to see if these two worlds can coalesce, because career-wise, I'm actually a game artist, and got into the industry 8 years ago in 2017. And but during that time, I was still like playing in bands and that kind of stuff. So this is the first time, like I said, where these two worlds coalesce.
But considering that you got into game development as a game artist, making graphical pieces for video games, like when did you hit the point where you're like, I can make music for games as well? Like, considering that you've been working a little bit with Game Maker and so on when you were younger.
That's a good question. Like, for some reason, this have always been sort of parallel tracks, like passions of mine. I never really thought about like doing bands and such. I never really thought about that could be like a viable like career. That was always like a passion of mine. I'm self-taught and kind of a scrappy like musician, and so in that sense, while my artistic career is a little bit more like you know, academic, like I'm educated and have a little bit more of a firm career path. So it's almost it didn't really occur to me. That was what I did for fun, and then I would do art for work, you know.
Yeah, this is interesting. So you never really created music pieces or anything when you were working with Game Maker then?
No, the cool thing about Game Maker, especially, I don't know what it is like these days, but back then you didn't really have an editor for music, but you have a sprite editor, right? So if that was the only piece of software, creative software I had on my computer, I could still make art for a game. The only thing that was lacking was sound effects and music. So that's sort of like a proto way of me getting into game art as a child, I guess, because we did a lot of like frame by frame animations for fun. You know?
That's awesome. So in this case, did you make more like cinematics in a sense, or did you actually play like small viable mini games then?
Yeah, I think of it like 2D platformers, that kind of stuff. So short, simple games and short and simple animations for sure.
That sounds amazing. So you got into games working with art then, and you've been doing that for roughly 8 years then, I guess, or it's been a little bit back and forth. Like, when did you start working on Heavy Metal Death Can?
So the thing is, I got into the games industry after I studied game like graphics, 3D graphics and computer graphics. I got into advertising.
Okay.
And did that for a couple of years, making like product images and videos and that kind of stuff, motion graphics and such. And then I moved to Karlstad. I had an opportunity to. I was looking for opportunities as like a graphics artist, and they were just spinning up this studio, rather expanding a pretty newly started studio here called Mirage Game Studios. So I got the opportunity to hop on there, and that was my first proper job in the industry. So it was really a right time, right person at the right time, kind of like a lucky shot.
Ooh.
And then that studio, I worked at that studio for 8 years, and then the studio folded, like in at the end of 2024. You know, the big industry apocalypse. And I had a colleague there. We had been talking about making like a survival horror game on an unlimited playing area. Like, I thought the train sequence in Resident Evil 0 is so cool. So we were talking about why can't the whole game just be the train? Then when this happened, we actually we got like a few months of severance. So we were seriously thinking we should at least give this a go. So we came up with the submarine thing, and well, then it just snowballed from there.
Yeah, considering that a submarine is quite of a cramped place, just much like a train, I guess.
Exactly, and there's no way to go. You can't just, leave. You're stuck in there. And a submarine in for horror is like, I think it's kind of scary being on a submarine, without monsters. So it is a very it's a very generous setting for a horror game.
Yeah, I think for me, who has been visiting like not a submarine that's been under the water, but one that was on land, like it still feels cramped. And talking to the crew that actually were going on in this submarine, they were like, "This is nothing. This is very spacious." I was like, "What?" It's like it's apparently becoming so freaking cramped inside a submarine when it's submerged.
Oh man,
it starts
everything
getting
is
the pressure.
Relative, But yeah, they are built different for sure.
Yeah,
and it's a fascinating world. And we did something similar. We our first day of being unemployed, I guess, we actually went to a museum as well, like a submarine, Maritiman in Gothenburg, and that wasn't the one that you visited?
No, this was in Malmö and Sjöfartsverket down there.
Awesome. There's another submarine we need to go visit.
Yes.
I want to see them all.
I don't know at this point, when I was studying back in 2014, I think this is like maybe in 2015 already. Mm-hmm. And we were going to do our first point-and-click adventure game. And we were like, we're going to be retelling a comedic way of Captain Nemo and his submarine and having an octopus attack it and so on. It's like, okay, how do we research this? And we started researching it, like looking up art on submarines and so on. And like, there's one right here in Malmö. And they're apparently having an exhibition right now with an actual submarine that you can walk into. And the crew is there. It was so lucky. And even for students, it was free to go there. So we had a full session of talking to the crew and taking pictures and everything of that submarine. It was insane how many reference photos we were able to get from that.
That is so cool. Like,
yeah, it was
how
amazing.
Serendipitous. We had a similar, not as amazing, but when we visited the submarine, we were the last tour of the season. So it was only me and my partner there. And we're the last, like at the end of day, we have been already on the boats, you know. But we thought we'd do like a guided tour. And we got the most incredible guide. He was a gamer and super like passionate. And since there was only the two of us, we said we're mostly interested in the submarine because there were 3 vessels at this museum. So he would only do the submarine and, you know, unlock everything. Like any questions we'd have on specifics, we were allowed. He would just sort of. He was so knowledgeable, so he would just be able to answer anything and be like. It opened up a way for us to get like a deeper knowledge as well into like what are these doodads and sort of life on the submarine then, right? So we did the same thing. It took like hundreds of reference images, and those were the those laid the foundation for the complete, like the entire aesthetic of the game. Same with audio.
Awesome.
I knew I wanted to have some audio here even before we knew how the game would work, you know. So I captured like the footstep sound. The primary footstep sounds in the game is from the submarine. I captured it with my phone, and same with the main door sounds is also from the actual submarine. Huh. I wanted to capture the ambience too, but there were still kind of people around, so I couldn't really get like an ambient capture without having conversation or something. But there are a few authentic submarine sounds in there captured at that visit.
That's awesome. Did this person that was so knowledgeable, did you capture his name and give him like a thanks in the credits later?
Oh, you bet. Johan Hallström, shout out to you, and yes, he's in the credits.
That's awesome. Now that is like pure gold, having people that are really invested into things. Like it's literally priceless for us as developers to just get more knowledge, because we're kind of happy fanatics in a sense. Like, oh, we're really fanatic about making a game surrounding this topic or something like that, but we don't really know for sure. It's like, oh, we're writing a script on death, but I've never really had anybody dying in like close to me or something like that, for example. And all of a sudden we're making this deep story which we don't really have any relationships to. So in this case, you had the submarine. I
am not like a history buff. I do not know anything about submarines before this. But like you said, it's almost like my passion is in game development and music production, right? But you kind of, it's an excuse to be part in that community, at least for a little bit. And I'm always so excited just talking to passionate people. I don't even have to share their specific passion. The fact that they're so excited about this thing just rubs off on me, you know? So game development in that sense, like I said, having a project set with a specific team is an excellent opportunity to just sort of go diving into that world. You know?
No, I fully understand. I am exactly like that. I love talking to passionate people to just understand a little bit more, because I rather just sit and listen to a person knowledgeable about something than reading a Wikipedia page, to be honest.
Oh, for sure. Like, hopefully you're able to capture some of what makes these people tick, you know, regarding this thing. Like, I know our game isn't... We are not like super accurate, obviously. We probably would scare history buffs away, honestly. But then we have these weird details that are super accurate because I was able to pick that up during this visit, and I wanted to make sure like it's important that I get this thing right, for example. So hopefully people in know are going to appreciate that level of detail.
Yeah, I definitely hope so. Like a lot of people that played different kind of games really just catch up on certain things sometimes as well, and that can really engage a lot of different people depending on what it is they're after.
Oh, 100%.
Like one of the things that I kind of focused on in this game as well was just listening, because like it says in the description of the game, it's an old school survival horror game. And during my studies, we actually had analytics on different kind of games, and I chose to go through a little bit more on horror games to see what ticks horror games.
Awesome.
So looking at this game in the demo for that kind of perspective and see like, okay, what are you guys doing that ticks this horror box? And I'm not going to spoil anything. If people want to see more about it, either play it yourself or watch my stream. That's what I'm saying. But we are going to talk a little bit more about sound effects. We're going to talk about the music, and we're going to cover hopefully a lot of different things from music and sound perspective of this game. But we haven't talked too much about this game. People know it's a heavy metal death can special today. But would you do me the honor to explain what type of game this is?
Awesome, yeah. So, Heavy Metal Death Can is a retro-inspired survival horror game set on a Swedish submarine in sort of an alternate history, late 70s, like Cold War era. Mm-hmm. You wake up after this sort of incident has happened and your crew is possessed by this parasitic sludge. So they're zombies, in essence, or hive mind kind of. You don't really know, that's part of the mystery, right? But what you have to do is first you have to like find survivors. Are there any survivors? And then try to plot a way back home, while of course like avoiding all these monsters.
And let's just say I did not avoid them per se in the beginning. I tried to shoot everything, and let's just say I bite the bullet on that one.
Yeah, it's classic survival horror for you. It is sort of geared to, like, you want to save your bullets. That's like classic survival horror 101. Save your resources. Every time you get into contact with one of the monsters, it's a choice you have to make to expend ammunition or try to make a run for it. And that's sort of what makes the genre take these choices. Yeah. And potentially devastating consequences.
Yeah, and I'm guessing now as well. Of course, we already talked a little bit about, but podcast magic. And I'm shaking my hands in the air. This game has an inspiration source, and I'm pretty sure about that. Considering the tank control that we have in the game, it feels very much like an old Resident Evil game.
Oh, 100%. I said in the beginning, RE0 was a big inspiration for the idea, but sort of the classic survival horror game with the static camera angles and the kind of brutal difficulty, that's sort of what we were inspired by. Because I love RE4 as Resident Evil 4 as much as the next person, but something happened to the genre where they ditched this sort of more methodical, more slow-paced kind of gameplay. And I really enjoy... Static cameras is one of those things as well, right? It was a necessity because background images in old RE titles or old survival horror games were essentially renders or pictures, right? In order to maintain a higher fidelity.
Yep.
They were not real time. That's why they are like static. But if a happy accident or a result of that was that you got gameplay that felt so directed. The game designer or level designer had like total control of what is visible to the player, and sort of were able to like place ambushes or play with the player's expectation in a very direct way. So that made for a very appealing. I always found those titles very appealing in that sense, and I wanted to try to make a game like fulfilling that. So that is one of those things that was really important for us to get down. And the tank controls are kind of. We have a modern control scheme as well, which I'm actually pretty happy with. Yes. But tank controls are kind of a necessary evil to maintain a character directionality when changing camera schemes or camera angles.
Indeed. Now, I really felt like one of those kind of horror boxes kind of ticked there, especially when we're looking at the fixed cameras that you were talking about. One of the things that pops into my mind, and this existed back in Resident Evil 1 and 2, and even 3 as well, considering that you have the enemies sometimes outside of the camera, you can still hear them. And sometimes you can hear this audio and you don't know what to expect. And that is the fear of the unknown. It's like you make your own monsters in your head
exactly
to play around. And you can have that kind of zombie kind of sound, and all of a sudden you have some gurgling sound. You're like, the hell is happening now?
Exactly. Like whatever is going on in the side player's head is more powerful than whatever I could like draw, right? So if you can play with that is really powerful. But another thing that is kind of missing from modern survival horror is sort of the sense of place as like a character. Like in the classic games, the level design is sort of like, I tend to consider them almost point-and-click adventures, but with monsters, because you have a lot of item puzzles and keys and locks, and you go back and forth across this space trying to unlock it. So the level itself almost becomes like a puzzle box, and in that process, you become very familiar with the space, and you on replay playthroughs, you try to sort of find what is the fastest route. Can I what sort of like objectives can I complete within one save, for example? And that is something that I really miss. So we wanted to make the submarine kind of along the lines of the Spencer Mansion, you know, or those sort of like a place that almost becomes its own character. And at the end of the game, you're very familiar with the place, and it almost feels like your space at that point.
So you're basically like taking land over and over again to expand your territory in a sense then.
Yeah, you could say that. Like now this room, I have invested bullets into this monster to make this room here safe. So now you know this room is safe because you earned that, right? For sure.
That is amazing take on the whole thing, and I love that kind of thought process. Like how to think about a certain space, because usually it's like you could have just done something that they come back to life after you go out of the room and go back. It's like theoretically that could have been a thing, but it is not. So
yeah, I hate that.
From a design perspective,
zombies has to stay dead. like the Crimson Heads are cool because that's like a rule from Resident Evil 1, but just respawning enemies in a game where the resources are so scarce, I feel like that's forbidden. You don't do that.
It's like one of those boxes I opened up and there were nothing inside of it. I was like,
no.
Yeah, not cool. Not cool, man.
Exactly.
I know they're scarce, but they need to be that scarce.
The boxes, they're kind of like our version of like a pull on a slot machine. You hope that you're gonna get something.
Yeah. It's one arm bandits, yeah.
But hey, the boxes are actually pretty good. Talking about theme, those were on the submarine. They are sinks.
Oh.
In almost every room of a submarine, there's one of these foldable sinks. So for our purpose, we felt these would become great like chests. But that is something that I had no idea. I had never seen one of those before. But yeah, super common on submarines.
Was there any other space within a submarine you were really surprised by the way?
That's a good question.
Like, oh, I never thought this would have been on a submarine.
I think the kitchen is fascinating. Like, we kind of we stole the kitchen from another ship, from a more a proper like battleship, so a bigger vessel. But the kitchen on an actual submarine is a fascinating thing, considering how much. Like, I complained that my kitchen at home is too small, but this cook will make food for like potentially hundreds and in like a square meter. So that was a fascinating one. And I also, how can you not love the sort of turret, or what's it called, where the periscope is, the sort of tower? That's fascinating as well. All these comms room is fun. A lot of cool tech also in like a closet. There's so many cool spaces within a submarine.
There are a lot of cool spaces indeed, but it feels like those kind of feels like they really fit into a submarine as well. I was like, oh, we can't really drive the submarine without this.
Exactly.
It's like, sure, we can drive without eyes, but how will we fix this? No, but anyway, moving onward, and I think it is time. We've been talking and forming a little bit more understanding about the game and everything. So I think this is a pretty natural way to dive into the music to see what the music is more like.
Awesome.
With that said, let's go in with the first track of the week from Heavy Metal Death Can. This is the main theme. And with that, I welcome back everybody from the main theme of the game. And for people who are new to this podcast, every time we listen to a track, I have this segment called an emotion. This is basically me sitting in my, I darken my room down, I take away the senses, put on my headphones, and just listen to this track on repeat until I feel something. And my emotion for the Heavy Metal Death Can main theme, this feels like grunge metal. My overall emotion thought is kind of how depressing this song feels. It's down low, it is slow, almost minimalistic in a sense. But then it hits you halfway into the song and it becomes like this full-fledged song with attitude and harmony. And it is just batshit crazy how it goes from one to the other. It's like... What was the thought process in making a theme like this? First and foremost, this is a 4-minute long song as well. Let's start by there. How come it is 4 minutes?
I guess this is the only like proper song, or at least it's the first proper song on the soundtrack that we made. And I did the 2 segments as like a test. I wanted it to be... for the longest time, we had a demo version of just the clean guitar as like our main menu theme. And I wanted to have the full ensemble version pop in on the end credits as sort of a gift to the player. Like, you know this song, but here's the full band. But the thing is, so we put it in as like a placeholder when I had done the first like more proper version of the song with all the parts I wanted and such, as like a sort of just upgrading from my previous demo of the track into the game. But I was thinking I would split them up in F mod, so I put the whole thing in there. And the kind of funny thing happened when we played, how the metal section started to kick in when we were sort of just hanging out at the menu or chatting or whatever. And we felt like this is going to be really fun, like if we have streamers or whatever, or for players just tinkering with settings that are not aware of this. They're gonna be like knocked off their chairs. Was at least what I wanted to have this. So it's very dynamic. It is way too loud, honestly, the jump from the clean to the but it was really there to be like a gut punch for streamers.
Okay.
And most people seem to enjoy it. And also for the demo, we didn't have... I have most of my like musical experience comes from playing in bands and in metal bands, so I knew I wanted to, if I were to do like a soundtrack, I wanted it to be like metal in there. In terms of how to actually do that, you don't want to have like full ensemble metal just as like an ambient thing. Obviously you want to have that for maybe like boss tracks or whatever. And in our demo we didn't have any one of those like set piece moments, so I wanted to make sure that at least there is some metal in there. Even if there is no like boss fight moment, spoiler alert I guess, in the demo. I wanted there to be like a taste of what's gonna be in the game. Yeah,
okay. Because considering what we see when you start the game, you have this kind of corridor, you see a body lying, and then you see some dark figure twitching and doing this thing. Like having this calm track, I was like, something is wrong here. And then it kicks in halfway. I was like, yeah, it's definitely wrong here.
Yeah, the original like riff for the picked riff is actually very inspired by this demo track that System of a Down did called Damn. And it doesn't sound like super... It's kind of a basic production, but that guitar part was so haunting to me as a kid. I thought it was like the most scary sound ever. So I felt like that was like a clear inspiration. I wanted to sort of to sound that clean guitar. I wanted to sound like how that riff sounded in my head. Like you said, melancholic and dreary, and then this sort of somewhat hopeful little delayed lead is coming in there to kind of add sort of the flavor that the game is not all darkness. There's also a little bit of a sense of hope and some I don't know, like cheekiness in there, I guess, as well.
Yeah. Okay.
It set the tone for the whole game, I'd say.
And I'm guessing already from the get-go, you knew from the start that you wanted to make an old school survival horror type of game. Is that correct as well?
Yes, that was like super. That was like inciting. We wanted to make a survival horror game on a limited space, and then, like I said before, I guess it's gonna be interesting for the next song as well. But I wanted it to be metal. I'm a guitarist, so I wanted it to be guitar driven. And for this next track, it's gonna be interesting to see sort of how that what sort of expression that took in terms of the next rest of the soundtrack.
Yeah. As always, we're trying to make as much width of the soundtrack as possible in these episodes as well. So I hope everybody will enjoy the type of choices we made today, because I really did, listening through your picks and the ones that we already have for my picks in this week's episode. But considering like you already knew you wanted a old school survival horror game, like, did you already knew a little bit more about the music, or did you do a lot of research? Like, how did the music kind of come forth during the development for this game?
So, that's a good question. In many ways, a lot of the music was just me, what's it called? Moonlighting. I was the sole artist on the game for a year, so I had a lot of art to do and animations and such. So mostly it was sort of to get like a palette cleanser between, okay, I've been doing game art all day, I need to do something else. So a lot of the songs was kind of like stream of consciousness stuff that came up when tinkering in the evenings. Like the metal tracks were they were a little bit more like projects in terms of I want to have this feeling and building like a proper song around it. But a lot of the more other songs in the soundtrack were kind of sort of just, I had built this room or built this space, and I just wanted to play around and see what kind of felt like a viable like track to go along with the space, you know. Also, there's this game called Eternal Darkness for the GameCube that has a fun, pretty interesting soundtrack as well. And see if we could kind of hop on that, like how do you do ambient tracks with guitars?
Yeah, okay. So that was a good reference, or?
Sort of. They have this like ambient tracks, but with these sort of like stabs. That's almost like like little moments that sort of shakes you out, so you don't get too comfortable. And I guess that's what it's all about, like horror music, right? You don't want it to be too structured, and you don't want it to be too predictable, so that you're always on edge. And I also felt like the new Silent Hill 2 remake had a really good soundtrack too, in terms of horror.
Okay.
Like the original is great as well, but just sort of like had a look around and see if we could sort of do that thing, but with guitars, I guess you could say.
During the development of this game, like when a new horror game released, did you listen to the soundtracks of these games initially, or were you more interested in games that were more like your game and listen to their soundtracks in this case?
Honestly, I didn't really have time to play that much when production ramped up. So I had a pretty firm, like, I have my inspirations ahead, and then I was kind of mostly just feeling it out, you know. I tried to think if there was any game that really affected me that came out during development. There were many games that I want to play, so this summer I have a big backlog I'm going to enjoy. But during development, I mostly played like old games that I'm very familiar with for comfort food, you know.
Okay.
So, but that meant a lot of Resident Evil, you know. So in that sense, I still got some sort of inspiration from the progenitor of the genre.
Yeah, and even the music within Resident Evil games have been developed over the course of time. Like you said, in Resident Evil 4, the pacing kind of ramped up a little bit more. And of course, music kind of followed in a similar structure, not ramping up necessarily, but music changes over the course of time with these games as they develop as well.
Exactly. They're more like the cinematic scoring as opposed to like songs. And there's a lot of pros and cons with that. Like with scoring is really cool. It can enhance the mood of a scene, obviously, but there's something, you don't get those iconic tracks anymore. And as an old gamer, I kind of miss that a little bit. So
yeah,
we wanted to have some of that at least in our game. Even if there are a lot of ambience, we wanted it to be like a sense of you can imagine this being like a song, you know.
When you started going into making the music for this game, I'm guessing you kind of touched a little bit on the sound effects first, or what did the music kind of pop in and then the sound effects come in for this game?
That's an interesting question. Sound effects were kind of, yeah, they were not really. I would say music was first, probably. Like we already knew that we wanted to do metal, and an interesting thing when visiting the visiting the submarine is that the soundscape or the ambience of a submarine it just hums, and there's like static noise, and there's like big loud electronic machines, exposed wiring, lamps that are kind of going humming and buzzing. So it really took me back to being like in a rehearsal space. I'm from quite a rural area, so we had a rehearsal space that was like super shoddy and small, and the amps would just feedback like crazy and buzz and all kinds. Exactly. So that's the space that it brought me back to, and it was just a great fit with. Say if we're gonna do guitar driven was sort of one of our like pillars, then okay, well this makes perfect sense. The actual sound on a submarine is like buzz and hums, so that became like the other flavor in terms of strummed or played, and just let the guitar make noises. That became our main source of ambient sounds for sure.
But it definitely feels like you can earn something almost for free then, in a sense, right?
100%. Like, I haven't heard that much in a game before. So that was sort of, if we did anything that was deemed experimental, that would be this. Just making, like, playing the guitar, not by playing it, but by shaking it or tapping it.
Considering also like all the different kind of instruments we hear within the tracks and so on, do you play all these kind of instruments live yourself, or is it some of them digitally added into the tracks?
I program the drums, but I play bass guitar and keys. So yeah, I guess a little bit of half and half, because everything that is like synthesized is also done in MIDI in Logic. So yeah, but a little bit half and half recorded and MIDI stuff, I'd say.
Oh, that's really cool. Did you have any sort of instrument that you wanted to learn new, like a new instrument for this project, or maybe that's for another project in the future?
Yeah, like there was no time. Like this project was totally just straight up stream of consciousness stuff almost. I guess
work with the toolbox you already have in this case.
Yeah, working with sort of trying to tame like a super like sensitive over distorted guitar and try to make something somewhat musical out of that. That was the experimental phase, and then that informed like the next track, but also a few other tracks in the game, different versions of that, and that was very exciting. Because it feels like you're cooking with gasoline. Like, it's so easy to just make unbearable noise. But I kind of like being on that precipice, you know, trying to see if we can tame this pretty crazy audio.
But it feels so interesting that you're talking about the next song, and we're talking about taming and like developing like the next stage in a sense. Let's actually go to the next stage and listen to the next track of the week.
Awesome.
So people get a little more hands-on on what we're talking about. So we're playing the second track of the week, and this is called The Metal Tube of Death. Fading Out, the Metal Tube of Death. And my emotion for this track, it is a very minimalistic track in its purest form. I would almost deem this to be more of an ambience than a minimalistic track. It is a bit unsettling, and it feels like banging metal that we hear through water with a distance. It's not like we're hearing metal just banged and we're inside the water. No, we have this metal piece inside the water, and that one is banged. But I do believe that this is the actual case and the situation for this track. And if I am correct, this is also the track that is played in the game when you are moving around. So this is the kind of ambience that we're listening to. Is that correct, Toby?
Yeah, for sure. This is in the demo. So if the main theme captures a lot of the emotional content that I want to have in the soundtrack. It's a really good like encapsulation of the game, its creative ambitions. This theme is sort of, it was the first like proper track that we put into the game that was sort of finished, I'd say. And this is, like I was talking about before, is sort of where a lot of experimentation and the visit to the submarine paid off. Because then I wanted to make, guitar driven, important, and a lot of buzzes and hums, like I said, was on the submarine. So how can we use these sort of like creative inspirations to make horror music ambience? And I designed this patch that was a lot of fuzz, a lot of reverb, and a lot of distortion, like super sensitive. If I were to play this patch, it would just be noise. I put the guitar on my table and started, tapping it with like rings, screwdrivers, all these sort of items to see if I can get different reactions from the guitar. I started to grab a chord and see if I could sort of make it ease it in somehow by doing some scrapes. And this was just exercise in like experimenting with this crazy patch that I come up with. And I think I recorded like 4 passes on over a few minutes and tried to piece together something that felt a little bit like a journey or a little somewhat musical. Like I said, it's mostly ambience, and you could almost be fooled to think that they're like sound effects, like things are bouncing on the hull of the ship, right? But all this is just tapping the guitar. So I was so happy with this because it's almost like like the previous song is kind of like a conventional, like a music track, a metal track. This is where we get to sort of flex a little bit or do something that I don't know, I haven't heard much in a horror game before.
I think the closest one, if I remember correctly now, I think it's Soma that has a little bit more about this ambience kind of style as well.
Awesome.
But I think that could be the closest from what I know. I'm not the biggest horror fan. I only did my analytic parts during school and so on.
Awesome.
But it's still interesting, like looking into this kind of minimalistic type of track, because this is definitely the definition of when we say less is more. And for this, we're adding a track with a lot of character in a sense, because like we can talk about music for biomes. Like this is the biome music for the submarine itself. It's not a theme for the character or a theme for a battle that is about to break out because a zombie woke up. This is the purest form of the character being the submarine.
Exactly, 100%. If there were no sound effects, if this was the only thing, it would still kind of represent.
It would still be unsettling.
Exactly. It still has this sort of audio character of the game of survival horror and just moving through a very hostile place.
Considering when you make an ambience like this for a game like this, did you go through a lot of iterations with this to find like a good amount of ambience? I'm thinking like, how often do these sounds actually kind of pop in the storms that you needed to do for this track? Because it feels like if it goes too fast, you might add a little bit too much pacing in a sense. But if you do it too little, people might just forget about it.
Yeah, I kind of performed it, so I had sort of a beat or a metronome going that was pretty slow paced, and I try to, like, if there is a sense of control, it's that underlying beat that sort of maintains. So just like you said, I don't get too excited and start to, you know, tap away. But it was kind of I don't know, I had it pretty quickly. It was kind of an happy accident, I'd say. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Adding some Bob Ross to this.
Exactly.
A very happy person for a very horrific game.
I would say that, that fits. That's my team.
It all checks out. Yin and yang, you know. No, but it's so interesting when I listen to this. I was like, yeah, it's like, when I'm just sitting here, it's like I'm closing my eyes and all I hear is this like really slow banging. There's nothing else. There's nobody breathing down my neck or something like that. But I get the same feeling when I'm watching like Stranger Things and Eleven goes into the water and she tries to use her mind to expand and find people. Like I got kind of the same sense listening to this track.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, because we wanted to feel like oppressive is kind of a term that we have had, and submerged, and you know, fear of drowning. Those were sort of some super general, like for the whole project, sort of themes and feelings that we wanted to explore. And this track has some of those like suffocating qualities to it.
Yeah, and the demo, there were no room that leaked in water, though.
There's one.
But I don't know on that depth.
There is one. But
is
it drips.
One in the demo? Oh, okay, it drips.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out, it was like, there's a water. You have the kitchen where you have the fridge and everything. You have the rooms that are not knobbed or can be opened. But you need to go around. No, it was so much interesting because the first time I played this, just to have this said for the podcast as well, was during Nordic Game, and you have so much people going around talking and everything, so you can't really get the same kind of vibe of the game as I got sitting at home playing it. It's like it's night and day to be more exact of that.
100%. This is the kind of game that you need to sort of take your time with a little bit, and you know, get comfortable. Turn off the lights, get a good pair of headphones, you know, you sort of immerse yourself. And like a show floor is not really the best place to showcase like a horror game, right? But it was interesting to see how people who might not have been fans of horror, it kind of opened up the game a little bit to them, because it wasn't, it's a safe space, you know, a show floor.
People can hug you.
Exactly. It's okay.
Because it's so nice, like looking at this. That there are multiple ways to scare people. Of course, audio plays a really large role in how to scare people about the unknown that we already talked about. Having enemies off the camera, but you can still hear them. So you have those kind of mind goblins in your head. But you can also just utilize audio to make up a monster that doesn't even exist there. You don't necessarily need to have a sound effect of that a monster makes. Like all about like those kind of strings in this specific track that you have, like something's going on with the hall.
Yeah, for sure.
But you also have sound effects for things that happen, of course, within the game that also has impact.
Like atmosphere is something that was really important for us, because that is so important for the genre to work, and we are a small team, so we can't really impress with spectacle. There is like an upper limit to have how much of an expensive production we can have. So we always have to play the player's imagination, always have to try to immerse and capture that, and atmosphere is the way. And in that sense, I was kind of in a good spot, being the one who made like the art style and the art direction and music. So it was very easy to sort of marry these two aesthetic expressions and have them harmonize to create like a dense atmosphere for the game.
Yeah. And the art style feels, I would say, either like end PS1 era or very early PS2 era in a sense.
Yeah, for sure. Like trying to sort of mimic the sense of those pre-rendered backgrounds, like I was saying, meant we had to sort of crunch the output a lot to make it look like JPEG compression. And that gave the whole game sort of like one of those lo-fi vibes. But also there's been a total like trend of doing PS1 inspired stuff lately. So we wanted sort of, maybe we can go PS2 and make something that still feels kind of expensive while meeting those retro things. So we are somewhere in between. We are kind of our own like expression in that sense.
Yeah. You didn't want to ride the tsunami, so you took the little way beside.
Yeah, you could say that. For sure. Like same with the music and with the tools we use. It is weirdly glossy and, you know, high production, but also the contents is really like gross and nasty. And this sort of, because we use Unreal Engine and you know, a lot of the modern tools for like PBR materials and that kind of stuff makes the game have a pretty shiny aesthetic. But like you said, the contents are like PS1 era. It's crunchy. And that extends to the music as well. I feel like I haven't crunched the music itself production-wise a lot, but the contents is really nasty. A lot of like typical odd sounds you may want to avoid, like static and hum and that kind of stuff. We lean into that, you know.
But why do you think we're avoiding those? Is it a choice because people don't want to listen to them? Or
it's uncomfortable. Like it doesn't sound, I think, especially as professionals, we tend to be super vigilant to like off sounds or sounds that like from when you're playing or that were not the intended expression, and try to clean that up, because we know that a shoddy mix comes from like sort of like 1,000 brooks forming a river, and all of a sudden your mix doesn't sound good, and it's because of all these small mistakes probably. So I think that's why we're super vigilant to those sounds and try to remove and clean up as early as we can and throughout all the way of throughout production. But when making a horror game, it feels kind of liberating. Like I have a track that is kind of sloppy and it just makes it sound nastier and, you know, makes you uncomfortable. So it's like, oh man, I should not be cleaning this up. I should lean into that aesthetic. And that's where we find something a little bit new and a little bit gross.
That sounds great. I mean, there seems like a more hands-on example of those happy little accidents then.
Oh, 100%.
Like, how far in the production were you when you found, like, when you said, let's lean into this, not stay away from it?
This was pretty early, but also me and my girlfriend has sort of been doing creative stuff together for a long time. And we had this term that we called trash art, because we couldn't afford a good camera, so we shot like a few music videos with a really shitty one. And okay, so in order to make this work and not look unprofessional, we had to again lean into the shitty elements and try to, you know, produce around that and make like motion graphics and stuff that sort of lean into the shittiness of the core performance. And so that has been sort of part of my workflow like for years, embracing sort of a lo-fi mentality and try to do something really big with those creative parameters. And funny enough, now that you can like just generate a metal track with sort of an AI thing, which I hate, by the way, but that also
me too.
That almost gives more. Like, you're not gonna generate something that sounds as shitty as this.
Yeah, because AI strives for perfection.
Exactly. So in that sense, we sort of skirt that whole thing and made an expression that sounds kind of real and fresh in a world where that is becoming hard to reach.
No, right now I'm like, you got me straight into like when people say like, "Oh, this is AI slop." And I know some developers went out like, AI slop here, AI slop there. I'm making human slop, and like, this sounds like human slop then.
Yeah, sure.
In a sense. No, it just got funny in my head. So I'm sorry. It's not human slop per se. I don't want to be rude.
No, it's okay. I totally get it. Like, that's the kind of thing that you would never want to fake. So ultimately there becomes a certain like authentic like value in those.
Yeah.
errors.
It does. It becomes authentic, but it becomes like an honest type of music. For me, music has always been the perfection is the imperfection of things. That's why live music is so freaking good. Like, it's not perfected 100%. In a studio until like, oh, this is the track. It's like not a single missed chord. And then when you see them live, mistakes happen. People have a great time.
Yeah, there's a sense of real that happens in that space.
Yeah, 100%.
When somebody that is very proficient, but it's not 100% synthetic perfect.
Mm. And with that, I think it's time for us to go into the midsection of the podcast with the third track. And in this case, we already been spoiled a little bit that, hey, not all the tracks that we're listening to today is something I listen to when I play the game. So this will be a little bit of a teaser for people as we are going and diving into the Corpsepile. There we have it, folks. The Corpsepile. Short, awesome. But comes in heavy as hell itself. The track is a full frontal assault, much similar to a Mick Gordon's Doom track, in my opinion. And I almost expected like a heavy metal singer choir here. I know it doesn't fit the game, though, but holy hell. But I can tell that this track is like, in the version that I have, it feels like it's not intended to loop, as it ends on a really heavy note. And then in the beginning of this track, it starts with a really low note. So from that point of view, was this intended to be a Mick Gordon Doom track, first and foremost?
Yeah, kinda. Like, this is a track that I made. This is sort of a remix of a full like song. Me and my partner made like before this project and before the studio.
Oh, okay.
And we wanted to make something. I was really in a sort of a Meshuggah mode and wanted to make something that was... And I got an 8-string guitar, and as people who play 8-string know, you tend to play a lot of the 8th string then. So I wanted to make something that was... This would be the heaviest shit that I could make. So it just made for a good sort of... I wanted to mix that into the game somehow, and I think this turned out pretty intense.
Yeah, it is very intense.
This is the first like metal track that you will encounter in the full game, apart from the main menu, and I wanted it to be like a real, again, like a gut punch moment, like really open up the what's called like the sort of opportunity space, I guess, for the music or the entire like palette. Like, this is where we're gonna hang, and sometimes we will go to 11.
That's awesome. Considering what we have in this specific track, that we have this kind of easy going in the beginning that kind of builds up. In my mind, it feels like we're having some sort of cinematic that drives into the heaviness.
Yes, for sure.
And since I haven't been able to play this, is this a correct assumption for the music? Is this intended for a cinematic?
It's a build-up. Like, then it's kind of short because you have like a looping section there. But yeah, it's meant to be sort of bringing back the metal, so to speak.
Okay.
And make for a fun going overdrive moments.
That's awesome. And with this, we haven't really talked that much about the music per se, because most of these tracks that I've been able to listen to inside the game, it feels like the tracks that we are playing is also the same you will hear inside the game. So I'm guessing you don't have any kind of dynamic pieces within the game looking at the music.
Not really, no. We have experimented a little bit with like sections, sort of endings and beginnings and such, and having interesting motions like that, but it is very sort of blunt, like here's the next song and here's a new song. No advanced implementation here.
Make it easy, not complex.
Yeah, a little bit like that for sure.
As I was walking around in the demo, I think most of the times we only listen to the Metal Tube of Death, walking around in this kind of, because a lot of the rooms kind of has the same tracks. It feels like it's more the like the POI, the points of interest, that has these kind of unique tracks. For example, you are visiting the captain's room within the game, and that one has a specific track.
Yes, for sure. We have like these sections of the submarine that has their own ambient track, and then like you said, we have like these specific rooms and characters that want to highlight with their own themes. But that's part of like, since with this game design we have so much control over what the player experiences. Every room is its own like scene, you know, and that gives us a lot of opportunity to sort of sculpt the experience in that sense. So I guess that's where soundtracks comes in, or scoring for cutscenes, or custom themes for characters.
Yeah, because there are multiple ways to kind of, theoretically you could have just used the same everywhere and then have characters make different kind of unique sounds and so on. But having these kind of sections feels like two different things. The first thing is like when you get into the captain's lounge, the music that plays then is kind of his theme. But it also could be like a palette cleanser of everything else. So is it a combo of both? Is that the intention for it? Or is it just me putting words on something that we can also now put our hands on?
No, for sure. That is intended. Like, we want, whenever you enter a room, there is sort of this mode of tension where you don't know what you're gonna get, and there's this camera pointed at your character for the most part. So like you said, you're listening for monsters, or there's this anticipation, and having a change of music goes a long way with that.
That's very true. Very true. It's like I like the play with audio and sound effects and so on, because just much like you said, when you enter a new room, you literally don't know what is on the other side. If you play the game, of course, but we're not cheating anymore. Like we enter a room and you could literally have a zombie up your face, and it's like you need to react really fast, or maybe you are doing something really fast, which you might not have needed to do. And depending on how you move, that could have cause and effect as well. There's one section that you have early in the game, and like depending on what you're doing, you will suffer consequences from that action. And I kind of like that thematicism within the whole thing, because it shines a little bit more on the survival part, not just being like the resources, like bullets for your pistol, for example. Your action on how you're moving actually has an impact as well.
Oh, for sure. Like how you placement and that kind of stuff. In many ways, that's another choice, right? And at the core of the design is choices and consequences, you know?
Like for me, it took a long time, but not really a long time, because I didn't remember there was a run button.
No.
and then when I found it, I also suffered the consequences of finding the run button.
No, you ran into a monster?
Not ran necessarily into a monster, but all of a sudden I noticed, they also follow sound, not just me looking at me.
Yeah. Yeah, we have light stealth elements.
Yeah. So that also played a point, and I kind of love that necessity, because sometimes when you're playing a game, it feels like, oh, they are very hard-coded in how they work and what they do. But due to the fact that it feels like they are an actual monster, they react to not you just being close by to them because they had a programmed circle saying like, oh, if the character goes into this, he will turn around and start chasing you. No, like it feels like they actually have some sort of like, they can react to sound, they can react to you doing certain things and so on. And I love that part of the game. That was actually a really fun teachings of mine. And of course that brings a little bit more of the modern part into the old school look of the gaming, like adding these new fancy things that we didn't really have necessarily in older games.
Yeah, for sure, they are quite dynamic, and we always wanted them to feel scary. Like even in late game, one zombie can kind of fuck you up or mess you up, and that is something that that we really wanted. We never wanted it to be too predictable. Even when you have like a lot of time into the game, I still tend to run into them sometime. Yeah. So yeah, for sure.
Interesting. And moving on with like going back to this more like heavy metal Corpsepile track here. You said something about not necessarily having bosses within the game. So for me, listening to this track, it feels like this is for something important, though. It's like,
no, this is a boss track.
Okay, this is a boss track. Okay, then
yeah,
I misunderstood
there's no bosses
earlier.
in the demo.
Okay.
So I wanted it to be like metal in the demo as well, but in the full game there are bosses, and then we go. This is our go to 11 moment. You know, everything.
Panic.
All systems go full on. This is like a crescendo moment of the game where we get to bring out all the good metal.
Considering like, is this just a boss music or is it the boss music?
They have their own themes.
Okay, that's pretty
to
cool.
kind of fit with how we see the fight going and how the quote unquote personality of the boss.
That is also very interesting having, because some games actually just use the same over and over again, reusing them, but you're giving like the bosses their own main themes in a sense, then adding their personality or how they act or supposed to act for this.
The thing is, the game is kind of short, so we have this sort of philosophy on the studio called like the center of the cinnamon bun, but sort of try to make, if we are to lean on quality versus quantity, we want to always lean on quality. So we would much rather make something that is shorter and skip out on padding and that kind of stuff. We know our audience probably leans a little older, don't have that much time, so we really don't want to waste any more time. So if we have a boss in the game, then we want that experience to be like hit on all cylinders, like music, aesthetics, themes, story, like all of this has to be. It can't be like superfluous. It has to be like this, like complete experience. And in terms of like prioritizing, we put a lot of effort into making this content that's actually there feel really polished and bespoke.
That is interesting. I like that. I really, really like that. That's a good answer.
We have as a small team, that's almost like a scale. You can't do both quantity and quality, so you have to find yourself some way along that meter.
I don't know how many people have seen this. You have this kind of, you want it fast, you want it good, or you want it like cheap. And you can have two of the three things, not all three.
100%. That is the sort of the equation you got. So and that can be really hard. Like I kind of was anxious about is the game too short, for example, but you have to stick to your guns a little bit. And I think about how I want the games to be, and I would much rather have games to be without too much, like especially obvious padding. That I don't want that at all, honestly.
From your own perspective as a gamer as well, what is your kind of take on modern games today? Do you think they are still a good length on the games, or are they getting too long? Because more and more people want just more and more content all the time today, especially with the free-to-play market. But if we skip the whole free-to-play shenanigans and just focus on these kind of premium products, do you think, from your perspective, that they're getting too long, or are they just the right amount or too short?
I might not be the right person to ask because I play so much old stuff. But one thing that I have observed is sort of audience retention is a metric that a lot of like industry publishers value. And for my money, retention, I don't care at all. Like, we don't monetize that anyway. It's just, you buy the game like a movie ticket. And then I don't want people to be in the game unless they are having fun. You know? Retention doesn't even go into it. The game has to like entertain on its own creative value. And then when players are done with it, they're done with it. They can move on. I don't need to hook them anymore. We are both happy parties of this transaction. I don't need to own your time any more than necessary. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It definitely makes sense.
Even if a publisher is selling a premium product that is paid up front, there's always this sort of sense that we need to retain, like from the mobile space or the gambling sector, like we need to retain people's attention. And like, why, man? The deal is done. They're happy. You're happy.
I can already answer that because I've been in free-to-play for a long time, but this is not the focus on that.
No, I know. It's just, but that's what I'm saying. I think it's easy for us to get sort of automatically assume that this is an important KPI. But for a premium product, I don't think it is. I want to keep people for as long as we can reasonably entertain them, and then I want them to play another horror game. I preferably an indie one. Yeah,
100%. For a premium product, I do believe it's not the KPI we're interested in this case is the word by mouth. Like, how many people play my game, like no matter what, how long, but will they recommend it to anybody else? Because that's kind of the best review you can get.
Oh, 100%.
Somebody else saying, hey, you should definitely play this game.
Or, straight up reviews. Like, players tell us if they don't like it or if they like it. And if people enjoy the game and give us a good review and they bought the game, I don't know, everybody wins.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. But yeah, it is time to drop down this heavy metal thing and go a little bit calmer again, as we are going into the fourth track of the week, which is called The Stack of Tapes. Fading out the calm track of Stack of Tapes. This track feels a little bit off, considering the whole soundtrack, but it is very interesting as well. We have the high-pitched noises, the rings gives me more of a dark and starry sky, like I'm stargazing in a sense. And the track, it is simplistic, it is calming, but at the same time, it does have this kind of unsettling, and it kind of just clashes with me in a sense. It makes it a little bit unsettling. Yeah, I've said it so many times already, I better just skip it now. But this track is placed in, I would say, the safe zones, like areas where you don't have any enemies necessarily, but these are the areas where you can save your game. And it is much like the Resident Evil series. Instead of having the tape for the typewriters, we are having cassettes for the cassette players. And I just love that kind of thing, having the cassettes for the cassette player.
Yeah, it's musically, thematically, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is arguably the most important track on the entire OST. The save room track. this is the track that people are going to remember the most. If you look at Resident Evil or indie horrors or Silent Hill, like the save room tracks stick with people. So it was very important for us to not mess this up. But it's also like as a creative exercise, it's also how would we make a save room track that would fit the game, like all of its scene with all this like electronics things that I was talking about, but also I'd rather not use piano because everybody uses piano for the save room track. And this was kind of also, I guess, like a happy accident. I was just tinkering around with patches and found this patch that kind of sounds a little bit like a broken organ.
Yeah, okay.
So in that sense, I felt like it felt kind of like era-wise kind of worked. It sounds a little dusty, like you said, a little like screechy.
Yeah.
And while I've been doing most of my like musical endeavors in bands and rock and metal, but I did have during the pandemic try to do like electronic music and get my head around production and the synthesis and that kind of stuff. And and found out that even if I try to make something that is supposed to be happy, I can't write happy stuff for shit. Like
you're too metal for that?
No, it's not metal. I'm too sad. That's how I deal with the darkness inside, like music. And even if I try to make something that is like happy, it always has this sort of sentimental or nostalgic or these sort of like those sort of kind of gooey emotions attached to it. So in that sense, this track came to be because I tried to work in that same space, like a light version of those songs I made back then. Just having it feel like longing or nostalgic, sentimental, and a little bit hopeful as well.
Yeah,
that felt like a proper emotion for like a save room.
Yeah,
the whole you're still under a lot of pressure, like literally you're on a submarine. But like for now,
no
for a few moments, you have like respite, and that's what this track should convey.
Yeah, okay. So like for me initially in the demo, I think it could be like a separation, of course. But I just want to talk a little bit about my own experience within the game and how I kind of took this in. Because initially I didn't react to it that much. You go into a small little cabinet room and you will find a cassette in there, and right next to it is the cassette player. So the connection is kind of there, but I didn't react to it that much. So I was still walking around. I was like, what am I doing with this cassette in the beginning? And then people in the stream and everything was like, oh, maybe that's the save system. That would be really cool, I said. And then we noticed later that, yes, that was the way in how to save the game.
Awesome.
Because it kind of made sense. Tape, and I have tape in those old cassettes because I'm that old. But the most fun thing about this is like, when I started listening to this stack of tapes, like initially I did not play the demo. I didn't remember the music from the Nordic game demo that I played. For me, I felt so like disconnected when I listened to this track. I was like, okay, this just has this kind of dark sky vibe to it. It feels very spacious in a sense. But then when I play the game and try to like figure out where this track goes, it took some time. Because looking at the games such as Resident Evil and so on, you usually have some save rooms that might be the connection between two different areas. But in the demo, it's literally just a side piece room. Like theoretically, you don't never need to go into that specific room, for example.
Yeah.
So I think from like if we're only taking the demo, it's a little bit disconnecting having this. But I'm guessing throughout the game, you might have more like connected rooms where this requisite area is isolated in a better sense than that small little room.
Sort of.
Or is this just one of my theories in my head right now?
Like you have multiple save rooms and they all share this track, so you're going to like connect this sort of track to safety. But as in terms of designing the track itself, I kind of did like a mini version of the main menu. Like it's just chords at first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you might not, like I said, you might not even consider it. So you go into your save room, you start to tinker with your item box and start to move stuff around, and all of a sudden this melody kicks in, and maybe you don't even realize it by then either, but hopefully you get to a point where you start to sort of hum that melody, or it has sort of crept under your skin a little bit, like subversively or not super overtly.
No, but it's interesting take on this, because like, of course, I'm not an expert in any shape or form. It's like this is kind of my journey as well, getting into the video game music and so on. Now I've done it for such a long time, so this is me lying at the moment at the same time. No, but like it is an experience listening to the music, trying to set it into the different situations or what I think the situation is, and then this is also why I'm playing the games as research for an episode where I'm going to talk about the music, because it is very interesting to me in how it actually is implemented within the game. Is it easy to react to? Is it not easy to react to? What are my thoughts? What am I reacting to while playing? And it's so much fun to talk with the actual composer of these things as well. It's like, oh, this is what I thought about. Well, in a sense, for me, it feels like, oh, I'm giving a little bit of hands-on information that we can talk a little bit more about, trying to dissect what I felt. So in this case, you're the composer therapist.
Yeah, can we what sort of emotions can we extract?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, Chris, why are you such a wuss? No, but it's really interesting. And it's like Stack of Tapes is definitely the track that really sticks out when we're just listening to the soundtrack as well, because it is slow, but it feels so different. It's like we take the Metal Tube of Death, we still have a little bit the ambience, the strings going in, but all of a sudden we have this lack of string. It feels more like a synth in my opinion. And like you said, you're going more for the broken organ kind of vibe with this.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to have something that really stuck out in a guitar-driven soundtrack, for sure.
I don't necessarily remember the Resident Evil save room track, but is that also very different from the rest of the soundtrack?
Yes, for sure. That is sort of the trope, usually with like a beautiful piano piece to go along.
Okay. Because it's been ages since I played a Resident Evil game. I might need to go and play those games at one point, but I don't know how I feel about that today. Maybe I'll get more hands-on after playing Heavy Metal Death Can. Who knows?
Awesome.
But yeah, I think it's time for us to head into the last track of the week, because we are getting later on the time now as well. Are you ready for the last track of the week?
Let's go.
Let's go, because we are starting the engine. There we have it, folks. The last track of the week. This was Starting the Engine. And I want to say the title again, from Heavy Metal Death Can. Because holy crap, this was a heavy metal track. Even as the track is not necessarily stressful, I feel like it does that through this, like the slow pace. It makes a kind of stressful vibe though. It adds the pressure, and it's the choice of voice in this track. And with that, I'm talking about the short and intenseness that goes with the guitars, and it's a high-tempo drum that keeps me up on my toes. And I cannot avoid to just get the feeling here, and as my pulse goes up to this, the song's attitude does somehow, it reminds me a little bit of Health March from the Command & Conquer series.
Oh, hell yeah.
So Toby, I just want to ask, is this some sort of reference very lightly? Or do you even know anything about the Hell's March?
Oh, I do. That's my partner's, or rather colleague's. He loves that soundtrack, so maybe he actually wanted to have a song that had this sort of pulse thing, like he was talking about. So this place, it's a little bit spoiled in this song title, but when you're starting the engine, there's this sort of sequence that is not a boss fight, but it's still pretty intense. So we needed to have a space that is not ambient, but not full on go to 11 metal. And what would that sound like? So I used a modified version of the patch from Metal Tube of Death and try to play something there. And for my, I want to make something that feels like it never really resolves. It's always like stressful. But also in terms of like the riff, it's kind of inspired by a track from the first Resident Evil movie.
Oh.
Marlyn Manson made the score for that, or the band. I don't know if the guy himself was involved, but it's a pretty cool score. And there was this one song that has this sort of like this same sort of rhythm pattern to it. So I guess in some ways the riff itself is quite inspired by that. And the drum beat thing is just sort of rubber drums. Kind of, I wanted to make something that sounded a little bit like you said, like Doom soundtrack. Sort of how do we make something that is intense but not full on drum kits.
Now, I'm definitely feeling like this is a time-pressured kind of sequence or something like that. Bum, 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 bum.
Exactly.
Like it sure. Really puts pressure, and it's like you need to run right now. It's like no walking allowed.
And like you said, a lot of the songs in the game is kind of like slow and more focused on like either chunky or it's like atmosphere. So this was a way to sort of try to like speed it up a little bit and raise the pulse a little bit.
So the intention of the track itself is not necessarily to put the pressure onto, like theoretically this could have been like a boss music in one way, but I'm guessing this just adds the tempo for people to actually make the mistakes by, I would say, running without thinking in a sense, to make it more visible to the mind.
Exactly, for sure. Not full on crescendo, but more like, come on. Get going.
I miss of essence.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that a lot of things you've been thinking about while working on the music for this project? Like how to put the pacing within the games. Like we can't really have the slow pace all the time, and we can't just always just have a crescendo at the boss battle. You kind of need to have that kind of build up and so on.
Oh, 100%. You're ultimately you're designing an experience, and even if our game is slower than like an action game, that sort of same pacing has to be satisfying. You can't stay in that one place for too long. You always have to sort of maintain like a variety of like tension release and pressure build up. So 100%, I always try to approach creative works from the perspective of the observer. Like say a music track, coming up with a riff, a doodle, like a lot of guitarists do, just play around. And then when you have something that sounds cool, I tend to like produce it. So you almost like have like a 10 or 15 or 20 seconds of that sounds almost like a song with drums and bass and everything, or all the elements. Because then you're able to approach as a listener, and then you can be like, what would I want to happen next? And that's sort of a way to maintain your listening perspective or experiencer perspective. And same goes for the game, obviously. And at this point now, working on it for a while, I feel like I'm starting to lose that a little bit because I'm so close to it. But I always try to maintain that sort of perspective and sympathy for the player, because we are designing an experience.
Do you have anything specific that you do in order to kind of make that distance from the product that you're working on actively and trying to be the observer? Do you have anything like a mind nugget or something like that to think about?
No, honestly not.
No.
It's super hard.
So it's pure will.
But at least just don't lose track of that. Like when making art, any art, it's always a sort of interplay between a creator and observer or audience or player, and never lose track of that. Always be humbled by that you're sort of communicating and try to open up for ways that the observer can attach themselves to the experience, I guess. Yeah. But I have no real. It's a mindset more of any proper like hints on how to do that.
yeah. I also heard the version is like you have some people that are really passionate about the project, feeling like, no, I'm not making a game for the masses. I'm making a game for myself. It's like I kind of understand that kind of thinking as well, because of course, if you're interested in the game, then there's gonna be a crowd that likes it as well. But sometimes people are more thoughtful about the market that they're attending the product to.
No, I totally do that as well. This game is totally for me.
Yeah,
but because I'm a gamer, right? So in many ways, I'm making a game that I wish existed, and I think that is really important to not lose track of that. Like you said, not try to make something for someone else, but again, you have to put yourself in the role of the observer. I'm not trying to make a game that I don't think is cool as like a self-actualization project. I'm making a game that I wish I could play as a player. I figured out one thing that I try to do in order to maintain that perspective is to not really enjoy the thing too much. Like if you make a song or if you make a game, and in the prototype stage, there are moments when you get like excited over it. So sometimes you would just play it over and over again, almost for fun. And don't do that, because you might sap some of those, like some of that novelty juice out of it. Same with the music. If I come up with like a riff or make something that I feel like this is banger, I shouldn't be listening to it, because I'm going to spend hours composing and writing and mastering, and you want to retain that like observer excitement over the things as long as you can. And that perspective, like where is it, where are we going off track? Where is it really getting good? So I guess that would be a tip. Try not to consume your own thing too much, so that you maintain sort of an observer experience for as long as possible. But at the end, you're going to lose that.
Yeah, sooner or later you're gonna lose that, most likely, yes. But I gotta ask one other question that feels like a tough question in a case, but of course it's always about the passion itself. When it comes to the music that you created for this game, has it been in a situation where you created a track, you had that in the game, and then at some point you're like, nah, I need to remake this, and then you just scrapped the track and then you made a new one for a certain area? Or
not really. We didn't really have time to second guess much, but I have a few scrap tracks earlier in that process. Like a few tracks that got left on the cutting room floor for one, like in terms of like making a metal track for a boss fight, for example. I had one that was kind of more up tempo, that didn't really work with the chunky horror. Like the gameplay is kind of slow paced, and the horror theme, it works better with a sound like the Corpsepile as opposed to something that's faster and more speed. So I have a few of those cases where things have been cut, but nothing that ever went all the way into the game. It was early in production where I was able to catch that this is not going to work, and cut my losses and move on.
Yeah. Okay.
And who knows, maybe that nugget can be used for something else in the future,
Definitely. It's like a scrap nugget is not a trash nugget, so potential.
Exactly. It potentially is a seed.
Exactly. It's amazing. I love these conversations. They're so insightful, and I love it.
It's fun to be able to talk to, get into the weeds on this stuff,
Yeah. I mean, you've been working on this product for quite some time, so I guess it's nice to unwind a little bit, to talk a little bit about what you've been going through these years.
Oh, it's a pleasure for sure.
But yeah, we are getting to the end of the show as well, because every good thing has an end to it. But before we're closing down everything, first and foremost, is there anything else you feel like I might have missed with this, playing the demo and listening to the soundtrack?
That's a good question. You as a player?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Did I miss something?
Yeah, in many ways, the demo, it's a taster. You get to meet the character and you get a sense of sort of the vibe we're going for and the core gameplay. But in this full game, there are more like set piece moments, more characters. There's a plot that unfolds. So if the demo is your vibe, then there's going to be more of that stuff in the main game for sure, and to a bigger level.
People will enjoy that 11. How like on that number scale is the demo like? What would you deem the score on the demo?
The score
is it like 4, and then 11 is the the full game?
In terms of how far we take it, like say intensity wise, the demo goes to like a 3.
A 3, yeah. So it's a much more for people to be excited about that might have already played a demo, listen to this episode, and it's like, hell yeah, I'm getting the game. That's awesome. No, but yeah, that is absolutely amazing. But yeah, before we're closing down this, then I'm always at the end of the shows now asking 2 different questions to the guest of the episode. And is, of course, connected to the game itself, but we will see. Will this be related only to the music? Because since you are the developer as well, we might lean into some development things as well. But the first question that we're going to ask is the challenge that you had during the game to create the game. Like, did you have anything specific that you felt you were really struggling with? You couldn't really get the bud to create the tree.
Capacity. Like, we were able to work for a certain amount of time. We had our deadline, and I wanted to make... I feel like we had gotten this amazing opportunity to make, if not the game of our dreams, like a game I really wanted to exist. And I wanted it to be as packed and dense with stuff in there as we could realistically, and to like a polished level that would be impressive to people. And sometimes I just felt managing energy is the hardest part for sure. Like, it's not only about time. Like, sometimes when it's creative work, sometimes you just knocked out and you managing that.
You tank those creative juices.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm doing creative work all day and can't expect to have that very same capacity into the night. Even if I have hours to spend here, I'm tired. So that has been the biggest like eye-opener from someone who has been doing like band stuff and such on my spare time previously. There was such a different gear that going into doing creative stuff on the day and trying to do creative stuff even more so, it's really hard. So that was the biggest challenge, to manage not only time but energy as well.
Did you find any sort of balance during the project then, or did you have to like necessarily just leave some creative processes?
Eventually. You get like a sense for what your limits are, and I try to make it so that if you had like creative work, then you could sort of balance that with administrative work, or more sort of tedious stuff, to make sure that the music had that sort of like spark that I wanted to. This was the opportunity to make like a soundtrack, right? So I really did not want to phone it in. I wanted to make something a little special here, and yeah, that was the biggest challenge, bar none.
That is a good challenge. Just trying to find out the time and keep those creative juices flowing at a steady pace, because it can be really destructive ending up in that section where you have no creative juice and you're kind of unable to kind of recover it in any shape or form, and then all of a sudden you're just running on fumes, and that is really destructive to the project itself. In the case
100%, and you are your own worst boss. So that was in many ways really eye-opening. It's not just a mode switch, it is you have like a battery capacity almost.
And then on the other hand, if we're just flipping the pancake to the other side, what are the achievements that you feel that you've gotten out of this project? Like, could it be something specific that you learned something really new that you were eye-opening, not just the schedule managing, because we already covered that in the challenge.
Managing it? No, kidding. The thing is, it is also kind of like big picture stuff, but I'm just kind of amazed that we made it. Like,
you should be happy about it.
I'm
Awesome.
so happy and grateful about the fact that 18 months ago we had this idea of a game, and now it's real, and now people are playing it, and it's resonating with people. Like, I had this hypothesis when kicking this project off that, okay, we're just gonna make something that we are super stoked about, and not try to do any form of, I mean, I did some market research, I guess, but no like focus testing. It's only if this makes us excited, then it's the right way to go. And seeing how that is sort of resonating with people is so extremely validating, because you put something out there that is very honest and real, and like, yeah, if that works for people, then I mean, I don't know, then it worked. This sort of idea, games of our art, kind of that whole. I built my whole worldview on that. That if you make something honest and put yourself into that, it's going to resonate with people. And now we really had the chance to try it, and I was terrified if it would work or not. But
yeah, I've heard it so many times with indie developers feeling like, we're going to set sail with our masterpiece that we've done, that we've been working, putting our hearts and souls into. And almost everybody says kind of the same thing. Nobody would play the game. It's like, and then they see that they were instantly incorrect. There's still a lot of people, and some people are just happy with 100 people playing their game that they released, and then all of a sudden it's just 2,000, 10,000. Numbers keep getting like bigger, and like, I'm so happy for them, and I'm just happy for you guys being able to release this game as well. There's so many games that just end up in development hell, and you were able to ship a product. That's just amazing.
Yeah, 100%. And we had a lot of luck, but we had a lot of like adversities, like any project, and I could not be more proud of my team and the fact that the game we're able to release something that was up to our standards.
That's awesome. But yeah, this kind of closes down the topic of heavy metal death can. So we're kind of shutting that bag now. And I want to focus a little bit more on you, Toby. It's like, what's the next step now? Is it a long vacation? Are you escaping Sweden with all the monies now? Or what's going to happen? What's the next step now for you?
I'm going to have to open up that death cam bag a little bit because we'll be supporting that game for a while. We're doing localization and and some additional like bonus features and stuff. We want to leave the game in a very proper state before we do ports. So that's coming up, and actually we're also doing a soundtrack.
Yay!
Yay! Like, I didn't think people would want. I tried to make something that sounded super nasty, so I didn't think that it would be like viable as a product. But people have been asking about it, which is like so heartwarming. And of course, if I'm in a place where people want more of my music, then of course I'm going to oblige. So that's also like a upcoming project. Then when Death Can is all on as many places as reasonable, in a state that everybody's happy with, then we're going to look into sequels or follow-ups.
So heavy metal death boat, heavy metal death car.
Yeah, exactly. Let's milk this thing.
It's not just heavy death can 2, another submarine.
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I don't know what the next thing is going to be, but the thing is, we approach games sort of in an old-fashioned way as well. Like, we're not here to make like a live service thing in any way. We want to wrap it up, make it like a finished thing, almost as if you bought like a disc way back.
That's awesome.
And then we hop onto the new thing, and we don't want to get stuck in a cycle of iteration.
Yeah, because that loop can never end sometimes, it feels like.
Yeah, sometimes. Like, we want to be upfront with that we are not making like a living thing necessarily. It is we want it to be like a complete thing. No DLCs, no microtransactions or additional sales. Just a good solid game, and then we can make another good solid game.
That's awesome. That's
I hope so.
awesome.
We'll see.
So that it's fun to hear that there's more things coming. Can we expect a Swedish localization considering Swedish? Or are we too small of a nation to get the Swedish translation nowadays?
I mean, we are kind of putting together a Swedish translation just for testing.
Yes! Oh, no,
So if that one is, if we're able to finish that one, I see no reason why we wouldn't like unleash that. That would be cool.
Yeah, I love everything. It reminds me of Bullfrog games when I was younger to play like Black and White, Diablo 1 and so on.
Yeah, they were
with
in
the
Swedish. That was wild.
I love that, and there's so many memories.
One of my favorites from back in the days, The Longest Journey, like a point-and-click adventure from Norway, and that had a Swedish localization with like voice acting and everything. It was really well made. So I don't know, there's something exciting about playing the game in your language, and hopefully we can give that to as many players as is financially possible.
Oh yeah, we already have the captain saying "Skål."
Skål.
Skål. Is that you?
Yeah.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, the sort of doing the voices like that with like grunts and such allowed us to do. I'm not a voice actor, but it allowed me to do a few of the characters, and just the funny thing is those voices are going to be the same on every language because we don't need to translate them.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good thing. Having just grunts and random shenanigans.
Exactly. Everybody all over the world, they're going to hear Skål.
Yep. Skål. But yeah, and we also have the good news here. So for this episode, we're actually been given 4 codes for this game. This is for Steam as well. And 2 of these codes will be given out, I think, about 2 weeks after the release of this episode over on Patreon. And the other 2 will be given away on socials. I have not specified which ones yet, but we will most likely have one on Facebook and one code over on Instagram. So I want to thank Toby and Chris Production for giving us these codes. So thank you so much for that.
No problems. Look forward to hearing if the people enjoyed playing the game.
Yeah. And I hope people will enjoy the game, that win the game, but also people who have been listening in on this episode will also be interested enough to try out the demo at least. And from what I heard, we're after location of languages and so on, we will see some ports as well. Do we know which ones you're aiming for already? Or is that a secret we cannot talk about?
I'm always kind of anxious of making promises, but
yeah,
like we are looking into like Mac and Linux and also consoles as well.
Okay.
So
we're holding our thumbs for as much as possible to get the spread as much as possible.
For sure. I want as many players as possible to be able to play, and I think it's just a matter of if it's possible for us, then we want to do it. For sure.
I guess it would be really like full happiness if you can get it out on a PS5.
Yeah, that would be
awesome.
Resident Evil. Like that's the home of RE, so it would be
exactly
a full circle moment for sure.
But yeah. So, thank you so much for joining in on this episode, Toby. It's been an absolute honor having you here to talk to you about the Heavy Metal Death Can soundtrack and the development you've been going through.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been super fun to just get to like talk about this in depth with someone as knowledgeable as you. So, thank you so much.
Thank you. So if people want to get in contact with you, maybe they have an answer, not an answer, a question. You have the answers. This is not Jeopardy. Where can they reach out to you if you have any socials and so on?
You're on our Discord. That's probably the easiest one. But I also have, you can shoot me an email as well. Toby@ChrisProductions.com.
Yeah. Awesome. And for people who don't have a pen and paper, the links will be in the episode description as well. So don't fret. And yeah, do you have any final words you want to tell the people before I end the episode?
Thank you so much for listening, and we wish you a terrifying journey aboard the HMS Domherren if you opt to take it. Thank you.
Awesome. And if you, the listener, is enjoying this episode, you can find other episodes much like this one on Gameable Audio. And you find that on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and Pocket Cast. And don't forget to also subscribe to our YouTube channel. I would love to get a little bit more. We're stuck on that 49 people subscription. Can we get that 50 at least? I would love more, of course, but it is what it is. And I know we have a lot more listeners out there for these episodes than the subscribers on YouTube, but would be lovely if we can get across that number at least. But you can also feel free to follow and comment on one of our social medias, either on Facebook or on Instagram. Just search for Gameable Audio and find us there. And if you're interested in to talk about music, game development, or anything related to video games and video game music, join the Discord server. And if you want to support me and the podcast a little bit and feel like you want to have a chance on those heavy metal death can Steam codes, then feel free to support us over on Patreon. And you find that all those links will be in the episode description. And the backers that we do have today is Daniel Lundmark, Lars Schenström, Titti Schenström, Kevin Wikström, Sanders Wikström, and Mats El Kebab och Tapper Holmqvist. Thank you so much for supporting my work with this podcast. And links where you can either buy and support the Crufts Productions in this case, and Toby. So Toby can eat a lot of cheeseburgers, hopefully, in the future. You find those in the episode description as well. And the podcast theme music was, as always, done by the amazing Thor Myrdal. I am your host, Christofer Schenström, and this was episode 67 of Gameable Audio with the Heavy Metal Death Can Special. And with that said, I want to thank everybody for listening in, and see you guys next time.